Okay, so today we're going to learn how to propagate a jade plant. There are quite a few different kinds of jade. This is a large leaf jade. Most jades propagate similarly to each other, along with most succulents, but we'll make different videos for those. So typically what you want to do is you want to take a cutting right below two main leaves on a nice stem. So on this specific plant here, you can see that we've actually already pruned this once before. So right here, we had originally cut this jade, and we took a cutting from that and planted it into a plug tray. And so now this jade plant is already pushing up two new growth that you could eventually take those as well if you wanted to. So if we take a look inside this jade, you'll actually see a whole. You can then take this cutting and you can dip it into a rooting powder, and you can get some rooting powder on the fresh cut, and then you can plant that. It's definitely a good idea to let it sit maybe for about 5 or 6 days before you plant it into the soil. Let it sit out in the open like this, and then let this edge callus over. Once it's calloused over in the dry air, then you can take that and you can plant it into the soil, and it will root that way. So your leaves on your jade plant should feel firm before you decide to take a cutting. If your leaves are soft or squishy, do not take a cutting. That plant is unhealthy, and either it needs to be topped up with a little bit of water, or maybe it has some sort of a fungal disease or bacteria problem. So make sure that you have a healthy plant with firm leaves before you take a cutting and go that route. So anyway, now that you have your cutting, let's say we've waited a week and this is calloused over here, you can then dip it into a rooting powder, into a rooting hormone, and do it that way. Or you can plant it directly into a tray of soil. So here's an example of what in a greenhouse environment we would do. We take a plug tray, which is no different than just a tray of soil, and you take your jade cutting and plant a bunch of new leaf growth. There's two new leaves here, here, in here as well. Everywhere where there's new growth is actually where we've already pruned that jade and propagated it. So what you want to do is find a really nice healthy stem. We'll take this guy right here and cut it about 1/2 inch to 1 inch below the last two leaves, and it directly into the soil like this. So it's a good idea to make sure that your soil is a little bit damp before you plant. That way your cutting won't be flopping around in your hole like this. But for this example, I'll just use dry soil. So you take your succulent and you shove it directly down until you reach your first set of leaves. So nestle it in there like that. And now leave it in that soil. Do not take it out. Don't look at it. Don't touch it. Leave it in the soil for about 2.5 weeks without letting it dry out. So keep that soil permanently moist. Sometimes it's a good idea to cover your soil with a piece of plastic, or perhaps something that can keep the humidity inside that tray. So here's an example of a jade tray that we propagated. And so these jade came off of this plant that I had shown you earlier that we took our cutting from. And so what we've done is we've taken one cutting and we've planted one cutting inside each cell. Once that jade has thoroughly rooted around inside of its cell, then we can take that and transplant it into a larger container. But for the time being, you want to leave your jade cutting in the little plug or in the tray until it gets a really substantial amount of roots, and then you can transplant it into a larger container. You can propagate jade from a leaf, but in the case of jade, that is a very slow process. So I would definitely advise taking a cutting from a stem and rooting it that way. So after you've rooted like this, notice that we planted it right up to the bottom two leaves. So let it sink all the way into the soil to the bottom two leaves, so the stem is into the ground. It'll root out in about a month's time. Once there's a good root mass on here, you can then take this and plant it into your container of succulents, and it's ready to be a part of your garden. Awesome. And if you liked the video, or if this helped you with your jade plant, take a look at this video here. it will take you to the video that we uploaded on how to propagate a burrow's tail succulent. And you can also visit our YouTube channel, and you'll find the playlist there for propagation tips. If there's a plant that you want us to do a video on, leave that name in the comments and let us know what kind of plant you want to learn how to propagate, and we can give you a hand that way. And to stay up to date on more propagation videos, click subscribe to our channel. Maybe give us a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow, and it helps get these propagation videos out there so that they're easier to find. So catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.